Hey everybody, this is HD. Welcome back. This is going to be daily ladder number 13, lucky number 13, which means that this daily ladder is probably not going to be the best one. I'm just playing. This is going to be an awesome ladder, and it is going to be a Zerg versus Terran. I know I've been doing a lot more Zerg lately, but as you guys all know, I play Zerg as my main race, and hopefully this is going to be a good one. Daily ladder, lucky number 13. It is currently Monday, by the way, guys. And yeah, last week I kind of substituted out some of the daily ladders for some pro games. I'll be doing a little bit of mixtures of everything here and there just to get a little good variety in. But this is going to be a ZVT, and I am currently playing at around 2600, 2700 diamond. I still have a lot of bonus points saved up. If you guys know, if you guys play ladder, I'm sure you guys know what the bonus points are. If you guys don't, it's basically rest experience from World of Warcraft. And yeah, yes, HD's talking about World of Warcraft right now, I know. I used to play a lot of WoW back in the day, but basically, if you don't play ladder a lot, then your bonus points accumulate, and then you're able to spend it when you win games, and it doubles your win rate, or doubles the amount of points you get. So I have a lot of bonus points saved up. I think I have like 100 to 200, something like that. And yeah, I think I should be around 2900, but you know, since I've been using those bonus points, around 27 right now. Anyways, it is going to be a ZVT. My opponent's name is Zeruf, and it looks like he is going to be throwing a barracks at the front of his main, right where his natural is. So this is a little peculiar. Terrans sometimes do this so that they can secure the expansion easily by having the buildings help block off any kind of Zerg attack. But at the same time, it can be very dangerous if you're a Zerg player. You have to know whether or not the Terran is going for a 2 racks mass attack, or if he's just building those 2 barracks there and then he's going to go for a command center. So this is a very, I guess you could say, very dangerous moment, but also you need to be able to scout. So this moment really requires perfect scouting. You guys can see the second barracks going down. I definitely expected that. And if you're a Zerg player in this position, you really do need to get early speed, and you need to get early banelings out. And this is why I really advocate going for fast gas into pool before going for an early hatchery. Because if your opponent goes for a 2 racks, you can be in a lot of trouble. It can be difficult to hold off a 2 racks mass marine attack. So as you guys can see, I did pull my drones off of gas, but I'm going to go ahead and put them back on gas so that I can get the banelings nest out as quickly as I can and get those banelings out and about. Usually, if you go for 14 gas, 14 pool, you're going to get your drones off of the gas, and then you're not going to really get the drones back on until you get your hatchery, because you don't need that much gas early on. But in this case, since my opponent's got 2 barracks out, I think it's going to be a good idea to get that early banelings nest just in case. So as you guys can see, pumping out a couple of Zerglings. I do like to get my hatchery around 21 supply. Yes, it's still safe to go for your hatch at 21 against 2 barracks. You will have enough speedlings, you will have enough banelings, hopefully, to deal with that, as long as you don't really mess up your build. And that really just comes with practice, being able to do your builds and execute them without making a mistake. It looks like Zeruf threw up an engineering bay at my natural, and this is actually very similar to the pylon block. I think the NG bay costs, it's either 75, 100, or 125, not sure exactly which, but basically it forces you to delay your hatchery if you're Zerg, so you will have to delay it. And it looks like I am going to go in for a scout here, and this is very key, moving my Zerglings in across the map and seeing what my opponent is doing. He has 2 barracks right now, and he has quite a few Marines, so I know that he's capable of an attack, but I'm still not sure if he's going for 2 racks expo, which means 2 racks into fast command center, or if he's going for some kind of a mass attack on me. So just as a precautionary measure, I always think that it's a good idea to get some banelings out if your opponent's got 2 barracks. So as you guys can see, getting a couple banelings. You don't really need too much, about 4 to 5 will do the trick, and then you need about double the number of Zerglings. And what you want to do is use your Zerglings to surround the Marines, and then have the banelings come in, and not allow your opponent to scoot and shoot his Marines away from your banelings. It does require a little bit of attention, and it does require a little bit of accuracy with your mouse, but all of this really comes with practice. And I think these daily ladder shows are really meant to help players out who are in the gold and higher leagues. I think if you guys are If you guys are around that area, then this is most helpful to you guys. Obviously, if you guys are already in high diamond, I don't know if this really helps unless you guys just enjoy watching me make a fool of myself when I play, or, you know, sometimes show you guys some cool strategies. But if you guys are in the really low copper, silver, I don't know if copper even exists anymore, but really low leagues, then hopefully you guys can take away a general gist of playing StarCraft, and, you know, don't try to copy the builds that I'm doing, you know, build for build, exactly moment for moment. Just try to get the general aspect, you know, scouting, expanding, pumping drones, those kind of things. So anyways, moving in my Zergling again, I see he still hasn't done anything. He hasn't moved out or gotten an expo, so now I'm getting a little curious and a little worried. There's a possibility my opponent's going for starports here. So I move in my Overlord, and I see he is going for a bunch of barracks inside the base. Now, because I still haven't seen the command center, I don't know, because I haven't seen a second command center inside the base, I don't know if he's using those barracks mainly just to go for an expansion into, you know, Mass Marine Marauder, or if he's just going to go Mass Marine Marauder. So it's very dangerous right now. To be safe, I'm just going to keep pumping Zerglings. Just going to make as many Zerglings as I can, make as many Banelings as I can, just in case my opponent is going for a mass attack. And, you know, if you're a Terran player, this is what you need to do against Zerg. Don't let the Zerg player get Overlords into your base. You need to prevent the Overlords from getting in. So as you guys can see, I have my Overlords around, but I didn't know that he had an expansion till now. I just saw on the minimap with that Overlord that indeed my opponent did go for an expo. So now I know that it's safe to drone. You know, it's safe to just mass pump drones. This is all about adjusting to your opponent's play. You see him go for an expansion, you're Zerg, pump drones. You're not going to be attacked anytime soon. I've already got attacking units. I can deal with any kind of a small Marine Marauder attack force very easily. And obviously you don't want to fall behind in economy. Now, one thing that a lot of players I realize don't do yet is use that Overseer. Overseers are very good for mid-game to late-game scouting, and I really think whenever your lair finishes, make one Overseer, just like that, and move it in. Against Terran, you don't need to fly it in, just drop a Changeling and mix it with the Marines. But it looks like I am going to be a little aggressive here, and this is all going back to that mindset of not pumping all your attacking units and leaving them at the front of your base. A lot of players will do that at the low diamond level, but the best strategy to play, if you're going to pump attacking units, leave them at the front of your opponent's base. And the reason for that is it keeps your opponent scared, it keeps him on the back foot. If he's going to turtle up and sit inside his base, fine. You get full map control, you get to pump workers, you get terrain distance when he moves out, and it allows you time to pump more attacking units. So don't leave your units out in the front of your base, leave them in the front of your opponent's base. I think that's a much more powerful position for your units to be in. So as you guys can see, working on that creep spread, I do have my third expo going up at the gold. If you're a Zerg, anytime you, or really any race, anytime you want to get your third expansion, look for the gold first. I don't know, you don't have to go for the blue minerals when the gold is there. It's such a much more beneficial resource node to have. And of course, working on my drones and working on my spawn larva, all of this is just key macro fundamentals. I really don't need to look at my attacking army because I can see on the minimap when my opponent moves out. Obviously, there's that little sound alert that says your units are under attack and you can pull them back when you need to. And yeah, it looks like I'm in a pretty good position right now. I've got all the Xel'Naga watchtowers. My opponent tried to get control of a couple of them here or there, but didn't really work out too well. And now I have Mutalisks coming out, so you do want to eventually transition into getting your air out. And Mutalisks, I would have to say, are really an essential unit versus for Zerg versus Terran. And my Mutalisks are a little bit late, and that's because I went for a Baneling's Nest early on. I went for, you know, saturation. I got my third up before I started pumping mutas. So this is more of like a 3-hatch muta build, which comes out around the 12-minute mark. But when you do start getting these Mutalisks out, that's when you can start to be aggressive. You don't want to push in with your Lings and Banelings into the Terran's front door because chances are they're going to be able to defend it. But you do want to use your Mutalisks to fly around and do as much damage as you can. And there you guys see, I actually kept my Mutalisk back and hidden. Don't want to reveal it to the Marines until I'm ready to attack his mineral line. So as you guys can see, I am going to move in with my Mutalisks. I'm going to find wherever I can to hit some SCVs, bring them down, my opponent has a couple of Marines here or there, so I'm going to be able to pick off maybe 1 or 2, and there comes the mass parade of Marines. And if you guys notice, my opponent actually stimmed. He stimmed his Marines to run back, and this is what you want to do as Zerg. Continually fly in, force a stim, pull back, pick off SCVs when you can, fly in, pull back, fly in, pull back. And when you get at a really, really high level of play, you're able to do that as well as macro at the same time. Unfortunately, I'm not actually doing the mealess harass all that well. You know, I flew in once, not really going in again, but I am focusing right now on macro. So if that's really the next best thing, if you're not harassing, pump more attacking units, make more army. So here we go, my opponent finally is going to push out. This is the Terran's timing window to attack. He does have siege tanks, and it's absolutely vital here that you target your banelings onto the Marines. If you don't kill off the Marines, then your Mutalisks are not going to be able to pick off the tanks because the Marines will still be alive. But it looks like my opponent barely able to hang on, and thankfully with macro, pumping out units continually, I had enough to pick off these tanks and push them back. And really, this all comes down to spawning larvae, making sure you... the spawn larva is actually the most vital component of all. Spawning larvae, because as you guys can see, I have 1,700 minerals, 600 gas, but I don't have enough larvae to make all the units I need. And that's because I've been missing my spawn larvae. You guys can see a lot of energy built up on some of these queens. And really, if you're in this kind of situation and you've got 3 base, it's actually necessary for you to get a 4th, an auxiliary hatchery, throw it down inside anywhere you want, and it'll help you pump out more attacking units. So I do have an auxiliary hatchery coming up right now, and that's going to help me keep my minerals and gas down by having a higher larva count. And that's actually one of the basics of StarCraft I wanted to talk about, is keeping your money down, because if you have a bunch of gas and minerals stockpiled up, as I do right now, then it's basically wasted resources. You don't have units on the field. When you have 1,000 minerals, would you rather have 1,000 minerals in the bank, or would you rather have 2,000 Zerglings? Is that right? I think it's 200 Zerglings, something like that, on the field. So, that's something, if you're in the really, really low leagues, work on keeping your money down. And that's going to help a lot. It's going to help a lot in terms of your gameplay at that kind of a level. Now, my opponent did just make an attack. He did fail at breaking me, and this is really when you have a pretty big advantage as Zerg, because it takes a much longer time for Terran to rebuild their army. They have to slowly build it piece by piece from every barracks and every factory, whereas a Zerg can build them from mass larvae, as long as you hit those larva injections, and mass, just mass pumping out units. So this is a pretty powerful time if you're Zerg, and really on this map what you want to focus on is just macroing up and not allowing your opponent to get his gold. If your opponent Terran gets the PF, Planetary Fortress, at the gold expansion, it's a whole new world of hurt, and it becomes much more difficult to deal with. So it looks like my opponent is going to be focusing on trying to get that gold up, and you need to be able to break this as Zerg. So as you guys can see, spreading my Zerg units out, I'm preparing for a pincer attack. Rather than just rolling everything in one direction, I'm going to try to attack from 2 directions, and this of course helps. It prevents your opponent from running his Marines away. It allows you to flank and captures units from all sides, and this is really one of the core essentials of being able to play good Zerg plays, being able to surround your opponent and split your army apart. So as you guys can see, getting ready for the mass attack. Here we go, bringing in all my units from all sides. And one thing I need to do here is work on my Banelings. So here comes a couple Banelings going to try to work their way up to the Marines. That's the one thing you really need to do. Unfortunately, that PF is just